A study done by Slack showed that when they did a survey over 10,000 people, workers from various levels of the organization, CEOs, other desk workers, that when you actually took a break at the end of the day from your work, you were 20% more productive. And the reason I'm here today is basically to say that stress sabotages success. So you may ask, what do I mean by stress? And stress is anything that is creating a response where you may be feeling overwhelmed or an inability to cope, or maybe even feeling collapsed, burnt out, depressed, anxious. All these are signs of stress. And what it takes for one person to feel stress may be very different from what it takes for another person to feel stress. What is sure, however, is that no matter who you are, how talented or amazing you may be, you get to respect the rhythms of life. Which means that if you take a breath in and you keep trying to breathe in and you never exhale, at some point, you cannot continue. Because if you do not let go, pause, take a break, breathe, then you're not creating space that allows you then fill your cup again. And so, to all you super high achieving, driven, ambitious women who really want to make a huge difference in this world, make a dent in the universe, I applaud you for that ambition. I applaud you for wanting to really change the world in your own special way with your own zone of genius. However, and this is speaking from experience, it is essential that as you prioritize creating that impact, the time, the energy, and the attention to delve in and show up and shine, it's as important to prioritize and schedule your rest, your play, and your recreation. So we'd all agree that you need your brain. You need your brain in order to really achieve these goals. Well, when you are stressed, your cognition, your memory, your creativity, your ability to connect the dots lowers. In fact, I have a great example. Once I was about to take an exam, and for that particular exam, I was so interested in the play that I was writing that I just could not be bothered. That was my priority. And so the exam came, I just quickly wrote the exam out and went back to my play. And it was an interesting experience for me. I was about 10, I think 9 actually. And I got the best marks I'd ever gotten. I was thinking, ooh, how did that happen? And I realized I wasn't stressed. So you know the answers. However, stress is a clear way of blocking the access to those answers. And so if a person is overworking themselves and is stressed out of their minds, then it's going to be more difficult to access the information, think of the best ways to show up, most productive ways. And so, of course, you're less efficient. And so as a leader, not only for yourself, but in the way you manage your teams, you really want to understand that more, in this case, time, is not necessarily more productivity. And especially if you're paying your teams by the hour, depending on what level of business you are, that is something you want to take into consideration. So, what are ways in which you can intentionally reduce stress? One of my favorite ways is decluttering. So decluttering, everybody knows about decluttering from the Marie Kondo, where you declutter your space, and that's an incredible way to reduce stress, I can assure you. But how about your calendar? When you look at your calendar or your to-do list, how many of those things are you relating to as must-haves when they are not must-haves at all? So to reduce the impression or experience of stress and overwhelm, I invite you to look at your to-do list today and actually connect with it. What is really important? What is really in alignment with where it is I want to go? What gets to be done now? What can be done by someone else? Not everything has to be done by you. And asking for help, delegating, requesting support. These are essential skills when it comes to leadership, because the more you want to do, the more support you get to have. Now, the other way of reducing your stress levels is looking at that list and saying, okay, I'm going to be in completion mode. There's some things that have been there for 6 months, 3 months, maybe 3 years. I get to make an executive decision. 1, I'm going to complete this by when? Or 2, I'm taking it off my list. I'm not doing it anymore. It's not that important. Completion reduces stress. Do you know why? Because when you have something on your to-do list, either in your head or actually written down, and it's not complete, a part of your brain is like a file is still open and connected with that task. And although it may not be actively working on it, it's still sucking up and draining your energy. And so you want to be in completion or in production, but not in this land of not really doing anything at all. Another way in which you can reduce stress. Breathing. When you really tune into your body, you'll find that you're probably breathing from here as opposed to really deep breaths from your belly. And I catch myself doing this sometimes. And inviting myself to belly breathe, to breathe deeply. One tip there is to allow your exhales be longer than your inhales, because the exhales are down regulating and the inhales are up regulating. We need both. But if your intention is to relax, then you want your exhales to be longer than your inhales. Now, this last one I'm going to share with you is a huge insight that I received recently. And I was volunteering to do some work. And there were various tasks to be done. Some tasks I wasn't particularly interested in, gave me no joy, but I was volunteering. And so I showed up and I was committed to completion. And there was a particular task that I had never done before, but gave me such a lot of joy. It filled my cup. And that was a task that this person who was leading or supporting, invited me to do first. And what it is that I found myself the next day doing the other tasks, but although they didn't necessarily give me any joy, my cup was so filled by the first activity that I really did them quickly, easily, and it wasn't an issue. So my invitation to you is, in your day, prioritize joy. Start with joy. Because as a driven, ambitious high achiever, I really remember the thoughts or process of, oh, I will rest when, I will enjoy when. So you do the hard work first, and then you get it as a reward. Well, rest is your birthright. It's not a reward. You get to show up rested. And from that space of being rested, which means that your brain is working better, your body is in more coherence, you're more open, everything is primed for excellence from that space. So rest is not lazy, it is smart. The second thing I'm going to say is joy. Shift away from this idea of I will be happy when, or I can enjoy when something has happened, and begin to see yourself as a joy generator. So you prioritize joy. You allow it come up from within you, and you focus and find things that give you joy. And start with that. Start with that in the morning. Find things that give you joy. Even in the day, schedule things that give you joy and see how that shifts, because you cannot be joyous and stressed. Impossible. You have to choose. And I saw this sentence by a guy called Alex Hermosi, and he said they was thanking the readers for giving them their most precious asset. And he said it was attention. He didn't even say time. And I thought, ooh, attention. What you choose to focus your attention on will determine whether you feel stress, you feel relaxed, you feel joyous. So what are you focusing on? So the more that you fill your day with joyful activity, with resting and relaxing, with stepping into the knowing that you don't have to be working every single second of the day in order for things to get done. The understanding that life is happening through you. Not everything is on your shoulders. This allows you relax. And another tip I'm going to give you is, what's your relationship with work or what you're doing? Because if you believe that in order to be loved, respected, appreciated, recognized, that you have to succeed and work hard and achieve, then your self-worth is probably very mixed up with your performance. And of course, if anything threatens that, then you would get stressed. I get that. As the time in the corporate world, you should have seen me with my tasks. I really didn't care. It had to be done in excellence. But now I realize that that excellence wasn't really excellence. What I was seeking was perfection, so that I could shield myself from any possible shame of failure, because my identity was so wrapped up in my results. It was stressful for me to think that anything could affect those results. But when I realized that my results are my results, I am me, my self-worth will never change, it is what it is, and I get to show up in a way that creates results that I desire, yes, however, not at the expense of human connection, not at the expense of my own health, not at the expense of my joy, not at the expense of alignment. When we are disaligned, and what we're doing and spending all our attention and time and energy doing is disaligned from our soul's purpose, our heart's desires, that creates stress. When you are in alignment, which means what you are achieving is in alignment with your values. It's in alignment with your heart. It's not just your head. So the head, the heart, and the hands are really in sync. That creates ease as opposed to dis-ease. And so, if you want to reduce your stress, because stress definitely will sabotage your success, I invite you to look at all the things that you're doing, the things that are creating overwhelm, and make an executive decision. One, I will complete, or I'll take this off my list. Am I taking it off completely, or am I delegating it to someone? Two, what are the things that spark joy for me? What may spark joy for me may not be what sparks joy for you. You get to do you. And when you find those things, how many times in my day, in my week, can I enjoy and experience this? And remember, it's not being lazy or frivolous. This is smart, because the more joy you experience, the more rested you are, the more expansive you are. Think of the times when you've been stressed. Don't you forget things? Isn't your memory a little wonky? And when you're relaxed, even maybe playing, Isn't that when you have the most incredible insights and downloads ever? Your creativity just goes off the charts. And so my invitation to you is for extraordinary success. Make rest, relaxation, and joy priorities. And from that space, show up like a rock star in excellence and productivity. Because working every single minute of your day actually reduces productivity. It slows you down. I want to know what you heard. I want to know what resonated. I'm really grateful for you giving me your attention and your time, but I really want you to anchor this. What did you hear me say? And two, what are you going to do? What's one, two, or three things that you are going to start practicing today? Love and light, Bullet TV.